women inmates there. And Pope Francis visibly pleased to be greeting all the people there one by one, going between the rows of the benches there. And some of the camera work here, we're zooming in some of the decoration and artwork there inside this courtyard, where we'll be hearing more about the artwork there and the Holy See's Pavilion for the Venice Biennale shortly after this visit with the women inmates there, some of whom are also have produced some of this artwork. In fact, the artwork and the Holy See Pavilion bears the title or the theme, "With My Own Eyes," and it's dedicated to the theme of human rights and people living on the margins of society. It seeks to draw the world's attention to the millions of men and women who live on the margins of society, while fostering a culture of encounter and meeting one another in solidarity. The Pope's visit here also, following these visits here at the Giudecca Women's Prison and the chapel nearby, will include then a brief trip by patrol boat there that traveling to the Basilica of St. Mary of Good Health, where he'll be meeting with young people from the dioceses of Venice and the overall Veneto region. And after that, he'll cross a bridge to enter St. Mark's Square, where he'll be welcomed by the authorities there and preside over the Mass and pray the Regina Coeli following it. Following that, the Pope will then enter the Basilica of St. Mark to venerate the relics of St. Mark, and after which he'll board another patrol boat taking him to the island of St. Helena, where he boards his helicopter to return to the Vatican around 2 p.m. there. Pope Francis is now finishing his greetings to those present, around 80 inmates and a number of the security Italian police there to welcome him, as well as Italian government authorities as well. There we see Archbishop Francesco Moraglia, Patriarch of Venice, on hand to welcome the Pope for this visit. And the Pope here, he arrived by helicopter just a short moment ago, right in the area of the prison facility there. And today's event is taking place inside the courtyard of the small prison there. And luckily the weather's quite good and mild. The temperatures are mild there, so it's a good day to be outside. And we see Pope Francis there and in the wheelchair greeting the final groups of people, of those present, before he offers an address, a few words of his own there to all present. As mentioned, the 60th international art exhibition, the Venice Biennale, the Vatican, the Holy See, has its own presence there. And this is all thanks to the Dicastery for Culture and Education, which has organized and promoted this presence of the Holy See at the Venice Biennale, which is not the first time, by the way. And this year's pavilion is curated by Adriana Pedrosa, and again is entitled Foreigners Everywhere, underscoring the nature of our world today with migration and the presence of peoples of different countries in countries around the world, and the phenomenon of migration. And the pavilion, once again, is dedicated to the theme of human rights and the focusing on those who are often at the margins of society, where our eyes rarely arrive. And it's intended to promote the building of a culture of encounter, a central key of pivot of Pope Francis' magisterium. Pope Francis is now coming up to the center here. There's a small chair there for him where he'll greet everyone. And they're locking the wheelchair there. He's going to stand up and possibly sit in that chair there. And here the camera shots are showing those present, and we can see a variety of nations are present here, of those who are the inmates. Many are from other countries. And here we are. They're bringing the microphone there to Pope Francis.
Care sorelle, cari fratelli, tutti siamo fratelli.
Dear sisters and brothers, we're all brothers and sisters. Nobody can deny each other. We are all brothers and sisters. I greet you all with affection, especially you sisters, those here in this Giudecca women's prison. I really very much wanted to meet you at the beginning of my visit to Venice, to tell you that you have a very special place in my heart.
I
would like, therefore, for us to experience this moment not so much as an official visit, not as an official visit, but rather as an encounter in which, thanks to God, we can give each other time, prayer, closeness, and fraternal affection. Today, we'll all leave this courtyard richer. And Pope Francis says, maybe I'll be the one who's gained so much, been enriched by you. And the good we will exchange will be precious. It's the Lord who wishes us to be together at this time, having arrived by different paths, some very painful, also because of mistakes for which, in various ways, each person bears wounds and scars. Everyone bears or has wounds and scars. And God wants us to be together because He knows that each of us here today has something unique to give and to receive, of which we all need. We all have our own uniqueness. It's a gift. And this is to offer it, to share it with each other, our uniqueness. Prison is a harsh reality, and problems such as overcrowding, the lack of facilities and resources, and episodes of violence give rise to a great deal of suffering here. But it can also become a place of moral and material rebirth, where the dignity of women and men is not placed in isolation or under lock and key, but promoted through mutual respect and the nurturing of talents and abilities, perhaps dormant or imprisoned by the vicissitudes of life, but which could reemerge for the good of all, and which deserve attention and trust. No one can take away the dignity of a person, of a human person. No one. So, paradoxically, time in prison can mark the beginning of something new through the rediscovery of the unsuspected beauty in us and in others, as symbolized by the artistic event you are hosting and the project to which you're actively contributing. It can become a building site for reconstruction, in which to courageously look at and evaluate one's own life, to remove what's not needed, what's cluttering, harmful, or dangerous, and draw up a plan, and then start again by digging foundations and going back in the light of experience to putting brick upon brick together with determination. Therefore, it's fundamental also for the prison system to offer prisoners, the inmates, or the inmates, the tools and room for human, spiritual, cultural, and professional growth, creating the conditions for their healthy reintegration. Please do not isolate the dignity of people. Do not lock away the dignity of each person. Not to isolate dignity, but to give new possibilities. Let's not forget that we've all made mistakes, to be forgiven and wounds to heal, and that we can all become the healed, who bring healing, the forgiven, who bring forgiveness, the reborn, who bring rebirth. Dear friends, let's renew today, you and I together, our trust in the future. Don't close the window there. Always look to the horizon. Look to the horizon and the future with hope. I like to think of hope as like an anchor. You know, it's anchored into the future, and we hold on to the cord to go forward to a brighter future. Let's propose to begin each day by saying, now is the right time. Today. Today is the right day. Today I will start again, always, for the rest of our lives. Thank you for this meeting. I assure you of my prayer. I will pray for you. And you also, please pray for me. But please, in my favor, of course, A little humor there. Pope Francis, as he thanked all those present, assuring them of his prayers and asking of their prayers for him as well. Pope Francis Pope Francis showing a gift that he is leaving them. It looks like a painting here. Oh, an icon. Madonna and Child. A beautiful icon. It shows the tenderness of the Mother, of the Blessed Mother. And that's the tenderness of the Blessed Mother for all of us. The Mother of tenderness. The tenderness that embraces every one of us. And everyone there thanking Pope Francis for the gift he has given. And now we have a couple of the inmates there who are bringing Pope Francis a gift. And it looks like a beautiful plant there. They're standing there before Pope Francis. Your Holiness, we are Feda and Rashida, and we work for a cooperative here. And they work for a cooperative that produces shampoo and soaps and all natural products. This work for us is very important because it gives a sense to our presence. And day after day, it helps hope grow in us. And it shows us a path forward to the good future. And with a future with a positive attitude. And we are very pleased to offer you a gift of what we produce. And here we have some plants, and most likely from which are produced these natural soaps and shampoos. They're presented to Pope Francis in a basket. Pope Francis is blessing one of those present who just offered those gifts. And we have a couple more of those present here before Pope Francis. Presenting gifts to Pope Francis. Okay, this is, it's a new skull cup there presented to Pope Francis for his that was made there in the prisons, or sewn there. With great gratitude that the seamstress laboratory there of the prison gives you this gift, produced in their own workshop. This unexpected visit of yours brings us great joy. We ask you, Holy Father, to carry in your heart our hopes, and we assure you of our prayers for your ministry and for your work in guiding us spiritually. So all the people of the seamstress workshop thank you and assure you of our care and concern for you and all you do. And more gifts. And this is a small basket of red and yellow roses, and reminds us of the work against violence against women. And we need bright colors in this place to give us hope and motivation in our efforts, and this is all produced by the women there in the different workshops and areas that they can contribute and give their own part, take part in the prison. Pope is joking there, saying, okay, now they're going to chase me away here. I have to go to the next appointment. Thank you so much. I will remember you, and go forward with courage. Don't give up. Go forward with hope. Oh, there's another little speech here. Now 2 more people are coming up. Your Holiness, Pope Francis, we are very happy to have arrived at this day of your arrival. It's a very exciting time for us to have you among us. And it reminds us of the gospel phrase, I was in prison and you came to visit me. We are so grateful that you have come to visit Venice and be at the Biennale with us. And it really is a grace that we who are often marginalized can be of help and contribute. And that we can say with a proud voice that we were here to help and to be part of your visit and contributing to this Biennale with our own efforts. Hello, everyone. Today is a very special day for us, full of joy for us, for all of us. One of the inmates here. This visit of yours will bring us to us. She's struggling a bit with her Italian, and she's a bit emotional. This visit of yours will bring us peace and love and good wishes for the peace in our world. And we're grateful that, and we're very grateful. She's a bit emotional. Will bring us great strength to our heart. And we wish you very good health. And we thank you with all our heart, Pope Francis. Rather touching, one of the inmates there, becoming a little emotional and addressing Pope Francis there. And one more of the inmate guests there who's addressing Pope Francis.
Papa Francesco, oggi non indurite il vostro cuore, ma
Pope Francis,
ascoltate la voce del Signore, pietà di noi. O Dio,
and do not
tu
hard,
sei grande,
quoting
cancella le nostre colpe, lavaci, facci diventare bianchi
reading
come la neve. Rendici
a
puri
prayer
dal peccato.
asking that the Lord soften our hearts and be
Padre
open
Santo, che hai testimoniato la tua
to God's
misericordia
love.
alla croce del tuo Figlio, ascolta la nostra preghiera per tutti i carcerati, uomini e
Asking
donne, per tutte le
everyone to
malattie terminali.
pray for those in prison, for those who are sick, and to help us do away with prejudice and to help all of us not to judge, to administrate all with fairness. So a prayer there, and Pope Francis waving to all those present and grateful for his visit there. The first stop on his visit here to Venice that he wished to intentfully make here on this visit to the Giudecca Women's Prison. This meeting taking place in the courtyard of the facility there, from going back to the 12th century. This facility, originally a monastery. And for our radio listeners, Pope Francis is now offering some final greetings and embraces with those present, thanking them for their gifts and offering them all words of hope, to say go forward, as he said, to go forward with hope in opening up a new and positive chapter in life with the opportunities that present themselves and realizing themselves and letting the gifts they all have to come forward and to flower. Now Pope Francis is back in the wheelchair. One final greeting to those applauding him as he goes to the nearby chapel of La Maddalena there, the prison chapel, where the next stop is to visit with the artists and curators of the Holy See's Venice Biennale Pavilion there, which is just right there. And it's quite unique in that sense, too, that the artwork is featured there and presented there for the Venice Biennale. Again, the title of the Holy See's, the Vatican's own pavilion there, is With My Eyes. And that's the exhibition hosted there in the Giudecca prison of Venice. And it's an open-hearted dialogue between the inmates of Giudecca and the artists chosen by the curators of the Holy See Pavilion, Bruno Racine and Chiara Parisi, are both the curators, and it's a dialogue between what one lives inside oneself, marked often by pain and suffering, exclusion and guilt, and what brings one from outside, especially discomfort and prejudice. It's a striking that the mingling of such different sensitivity, sensations, dissolves itself in the beauty of art, which is a vehicle of understanding, of dialogue and confrontation, of giving to one another. And the experience between the inmates and artists is expressed in the works set up in the various rooms of Giudecca. And here we're seeing some images of the various artworks and in this facility here of the Giudecca prison. Pope Francis is now just arriving in the nearby chapel of La Maddalena, the Magdalene there, and he's coming inside now, where he will be meeting with the artists and curators of the exhibition there. And they include installations, paintings, and photos, all elements that help generate new ideas and new words and as and inspiration. Present there is also Cardinal Jose Tolentino de Mendoza. He's the prefect of the Dicastery for Culture and Education, the Vatican's office dedicated to culture and education, and also the one that's organized and set up the Holy See's pavilion there at the Venice Biennale this year, and in previous years as well. And the applause we're hearing is as Pope Francis is arriving there to take his seat there, where he will address those present. And we have many of the artists present, representatives of the Venice Biennale as well, and there in the chapel, and all are taking their seats now, as we will hear most likely first from Cardinal Tolentino de Mendoza of the Dicastery for Culture and Education, and here he's coming to the microphone.
Santo Padre, la sua visita
Holy Father, your visit is the first that a Pope has dedicated to the Art Biennale, and as such constitutes a historic milestone. I believe, however, that the true historic significance of this choice is not determined by this fact alone, but by the desire it embodies to inaugurate a new era in the Church's relationship with the world of art. It's true, as St. Paul VI recalled at the end of the Second Vatican Council, that for a long time the Church has made an alliance with artists. But we have to remember there have also been some ambiguities and tensions as well. In fact, to the point that for decades there's been talk of a persistent divorce, also caused by the Church's difficulty in understanding and accepting the autonomy of art, which rightly does not accept to act as a mere sounding board for the words of others. Your visit, Holy Father, makes clear the will to implement a new style in which the many convergences are woven into freedom, and the bit of the authentic journey we can make together is more appreciated. This pavilion bears witness to that. We did not seek out the most or the easiest artists to reach. We did not want to build a trench or isolate ourselves into a certain vision. On the contrary, the invitation is for everyone to see with their own eyes. And in this sense, we have worked together as a team, starting with the community that lives here and with whom Your Holiness has just had a moving meeting encounter. And to all of them, we wish to express our heartfelt thanks, just as our thanks go to the authorities here, the Minister of Justice of Italy, and all the other authorities, the political leaders, the prison authorities, and the directors of the Venice Biennale, and the many artists here. We express our gratitude. And we express our gratitude to the curators, Bruno Rossini and Chiara Parisi. And we thank them for accepting this challenge.
Simon Fatal, Claire Fontaine, Sonia Gomes, Corita Kent, Marco Perego e Zoe Zaldana e Claire Tabouché. Gratitudine anche a tutta
and thanks to all those artists we heard, and gratitude also goes to the entire team producing this pavilion.
Al comitato di patrocinio, in particolare Arnoldo Mosca Mondadori,
and to the patronage committee, to the sponsors, Italy's Banca Intesa San Paolo, the Patriarchate of Venice, and the person of Archbishop Moraglia, its patriarch. Thank you very much, Pope Francis, for your pastoral visit today. And Cardinal Tolentino de Mendoza thanking Pope Francis and now taking a seat next to him. Thanking all the artists and curators and those present making this possible. And looking at the history of art with the Church and the benefits that come from that today. And Your Eminence Excellency and Mr. Minister and President and the curators and artists. I very much wanted to come to the Venice Art Biennale to return a visit as is the good custom among friends. Last June, in fact, I had the joy of welcoming a large group of artists to the Sistine Chapel. And now I'm coming to your home to meet you personally, to feel even closer to you, and in this way to thank you for what you are and what you do. And at the same time, I would like to send everyone this message. The world needs artists. This is demonstrated by the multitude of people of all ages who frequent art venues and events. And I like to remember among them the Vatican chapels, the first pavilion of the Holy See, built 6 years ago on the island of San Giorgio in the collaboration with the Cini Foundation as part of the Biennale of Architecture. And I confess that beside you, I do not feel like a stranger. I feel at home. And I think that in reality, this applies to every human being, because to all intents and purposes, art has the status of a city of refuge, a city that disobeys the regime of violence and discrimination in order to create forms of human belonging capable of recognizing, including, protecting, and embracing everyone. Everyone, starting from the last. The city of refuge is a biblical institution, already mentioned in the Deuteronomic Code, intended to prevent the shedding of innocent blood and to temper the blind desire for revenge, to guarantee the protection of human rights, and to seek forms of reconciliation. It would be important if the various artistic practices could establish themselves everywhere as a sort of network of cities of refuge, cooperating to rid the world of these senseless and by now empty oppositions that seek to gain ground in racism, in xenophobia, in inequality, in ecological imbalance, and aporophobia. And that terrible neologism that means fear of the poor. Behind these oppositions, there's always refusal of the other person. There's the selfishness that makes us function as solitary islands rather than collaborative archipelagos. I beg you, fellow artists, to imagine cities that do not yet exist on the maps, cities where no human being is considered a stranger. And this is why when we say strangers everywhere, we are proposing to be brothers everywhere, brothers and sisters everywhere. The title of the pavilion is With My Eyes. We all need to be looked at and to dare to look at ourselves. And in this, Jesus is the perennial teacher. He looks at everyone with the intensity of a love that does not judge, but knows how to be close and to encourage. And I would say that art educates us in this type of outlook, not possessive and not objectifying, but neither indifferent nor superficial. Art educates us in a contemplative gaze. Artists are part of the world, but are called to go beyond it. For example, it's more urgent, now than ever, to know how to distinguish clearly art from the market. Certainly the market promotes and canonizes, but there's always the risk of preying on creativity, stealing innocence, and finally coldly instructing on what is to be done. Today we've chosen to meet together here in the Giudecca Women's Prison. And it's true that no one has a monopoly on human suffering, but there are joy and suffering that unite in the feminine in a unique form and which we must listen to, because they've something important to teach us. I'm thinking of artists such as Frida Kahlo, Rita Kent, or Louise Bourgeois, and many others. I hope with all my heart that contemporary art can open our eyes, helping us to value and appreciate adequately the contribution of women as co-protagonists of the human adventure. And dear artists, I remember the question Jesus addressed to the crowd concerning John the Baptist. What did you go out to the desert to see? A reed swayed by the wind? Then what did you go out to see? Let us preserve this question in our heart. It impels us towards the future. Thank you. I keep you in my prayers, and you too, please also pray for me. Thank you. Pope Francis there addressing the artists present in the Church of La Maddalena, attached to the inside the Giudecca women's prison there. And now he is greeting those present, including the president of the region of the Veneto region there, the mayor of the city, as well as government representatives of Italy, there to shake hands with Pope Francis and to offer a few of their own words and their personal greetings to him. And before that, we were hearing the welcome address of Cardinal Tolentino de Mendoza, who is the prefect of the Vatican's dicastery for culture and education, that put together the Holy See Pavilion there for the Venice Biennale. And Pope Francis thanking the many artists present there for this meeting, including, of course, the curators, Bruno Rossini and Chiara Parisi. Also present at this are representatives of the Venice Biennale there, the president and the former president and the overall curator of the annual event there. And as Pope Francis customarily does, he, following an event, he wishes and tries to greet all those present, depending on the numbers of those present and the time there is. And here he is greeting the artists one by one. And that's, for our radio listeners, the click-click in the background are the cameras that are taking the photo shots there of the moment. For those of you who are just kind of joining us at this time, well, Pope Francis is in Venice for a visit here on this Sunday, just over a half-day visit here, and the Pope arrived by helicopter leaving from the little helicopter pad there inside Vatican City, and heading straight to the Giudecca women's prison on the Giudecca island there of Venice. And the Pope arrived just before 8 a.m. Italy time there, and started his visit with a visit to the prison facility, which also has this chapel where Pope Francis is in right now, which is also hosting the artwork in the Holy See's Pavilion for the Venice Biennale. First, the Pope greeted the inmates present, around 80 there, gathered in the courtyard of the Giudecca facility. And then he was brought over in his wheelchair here to the chapel, La Maddalena Chapel, where he's now meeting with artists and who've contributed to the Holy See's exhibit for the Biennale here. As Pope Francis greets everyone there, they'll be preparing for his transfer in one of the patrol boats they use there in Venice, to take him over from the Giudecca island to the Basilica of St. Mary of Good Health. And at that basilica, in the square in front, he'll be meeting with young people from the dioceses of Venice and the larger Veneto region. And with that meeting with young people and greetings to them, that will be followed by then another transfer in which he will cross a bridge to enter the famous St. Mark's Square, the monumental square there, where he'll be welcomed by a delegation of authorities. And he will then preside over Mass there in the square. And finally, and lead the recitation of the Regina Coeli prayer following that. That's the final grand celebration there on his visit here to Venice. Those greeting the Pope right now have included some of the those of the Dicastery for Culture and Education, including then the organizers of the Vatican's exhibit there at the Venice Biennale, as well as all the artists who've contributed their own work there to the pavilion itself. As we've been mentioning here, the Holy See Pavilion there for the 60th International Art Exhibit there of the Venice Biennale illustrates the ability of prison inmates to welcome art to transform their lives. And the project is unprecedented in ways for the Venice Biennale, thanks to the physical and conceptual installation inside this pavilion, inside the Giudecca Women's Prison. Hosting the pavilion. Its theme, With My Own Eyes, is dedicated to the theme of human rights and people living on the margins of society. And it seeks to draw the world's attention to those people who are largely ignored, and but at the same time fostering a culture of encounter. The Holy See Pavilion invites the viewer to take Pope Francis' words literally, as he invites everyone to look others directly in the eyes, looking beyond their social status to encounter their humanity. And Cardinal Mendonça of the Dicastery for Culture and Education, and we're seeing a number of the members of that Dicastery who've been also greeting Pope Francis as they've helped prepare this pavilion of the Holy See. He says, Cardinal Mendonça says that contemporary culture prefers to metaphorize sight, but seeing with one's own eyes gives vision a unique status, as it directly involves us in reality and makes us not just spectators, but witnesses. He's also said before Pope Francis came to Venice, he expressed the great joy of the Pope visiting the pavilion and saying it's a historic moment. As Pope Francis is the first Pope, or will be the first Pope, to visit the Biennale, and this clearly shows the Church's willingness and desire to bring together a fruitful and close dialogue with the world of arts and culture. And Cardinal Mendonça has also underscored how it's no coincidence that the Holy See's chosen to present its pavilion at the Venice Biennale in the most unexpected of places, such as a women's prison on the island there of Giudecca in Venice. And he added that it's neither a coincidence that the title of the pavilion, With My Own Eyes, aims to focus our attention on the importance of how we responsibly understand, express, and construct our social, cultural, and spiritual coexistence with all. And here we are, some of the final members of those present, those on hand, to greet Pope Francis with a handshake there, before the transfer takes place of moving to the next step, appointment on the Pope's visit here to Venice. on the eve of the Pope's visit here, pastoral visit to Venice, Archbishop Francesco Moraglia, the Patriarch of Venice, recalled how the importance of the Pope's first appointment there at the Giudecca prison, recalling this place as a place of expiation and rebirth, and also a place of art. The lagoon city of Venice has been preparing to welcome Pope Francis here for his one-day visit, using the theme Remaining United in the Love of Christ as its central theme or thread around which his talks and visits will happen. And Archbishop Moraglia, in an interview here with Vatican News, and responding to the question about what does the Pope's presence mean here for the diocese and the choice of the Giudecca prison as his first stop, and he said having the Pope in this place, and especially having chosen the Giudecca prison as the first stop of his visit to the entire Church of Venice, is an important sign for us. He says that it asks the city and those who may be somewhat resistant to setting their gaze on this place of the prison here, of a place of expiation and suffering, to strive to make it increasingly one of redemption, of human and spiritual growth for the guests who are present here. And he says, being a prison and not a penitentiary, the guests have long stays, and in a way makes things on the one hand simpler because it leads to a certain familiarity, but on the other hand more difficult because having to stay in a restricted perimeter for a long time can be problematic. Archbishop Moraglia then thanked the Holy Father for his choice of this and his intuition in coming here first, saying that he believes that from now on the prison will always remain, not only for those who've had this experience at the Pope's visit, but also among prisons in general, a light, a way of understanding justice with mercy and wanting to count on people who have or want to offer a future and a way out for people who've certainly made mistakes. So the Giudecca facility is not only a place of confinement, but also, since the beginning of the 60th edition of the International Venice Biennale, it's also been dedicated to the theme of the stranger among us, and is a place that is hosting these works of art for the Biennale that have come about from the encounter between inmates and artists, the artists and this location of where the art is being featured and displayed. Uniting mercy, creativity, and rebirth. That final applause there as Pope Francis has concluded his greeting all those present for this second moment of his visit to Venice with the artists present. Everyone is standing there in the hall, or in the church there, that is, in the chapel, where this meeting with Pope Francis has taken place. Pope Francis is back in his wheelchair now, and will begin the transfer to the next point in his visit here, when he heads over to the Basilica St. Mary of Good Health for the meeting with young people. And applause there for Pope Francis as he leaves the chapel and heads to his next appointment. Seeing elements of the artwork there on display there in the facility. And shortly we're going to close this first broadcast of and coverage of Pope Francis' visit here to Venice before we pick up again with the next appointment, as we've mentioned here, the Basilica of St. Mary of Good Health, where he'll be meeting with young people. And following that event, then, there'll be the Mass there in St. Mark's Square of Venice, where we'll also be providing translation as well. In just a few moments here, we'll be closing our broadcast just for about 10 minutes or so, and we'll be coming back for the next appointment on the Pope's schedule here. Pope Francis has left the chapel there and is heading to the small patrol boat that will take him over to the next place on his itinerary there, over to St. Mary of Good Health, the Basilica there, where young people are gathering to welcome him, and where he'll offer some of his own words there of encouragement to them. The Pope's visit here is just for just over a half day visit. And as you can see with these images here, we're giving you just a little preview of some of the young people there gathered. You see the canal there, and images of Venice. And with this, we're going to sign off just for about 10 minutes. And Thaddeus Jones here just to thank you all for joining us. And then I'm going to hand over the microphone here to Devin Watkins, who will be providing you with all the information, commentary, and translations of this meeting with young people coming up very soon. Thank you all for joining us. Wish you a blessed Sunday. Laudetur Jesus Christus. Praised be Jesus Christ.
Allora ragazzi, siamo quasi all'arrivo del Santo Padre, perché l'incontro di là è stato in maniera ordinata e quindi puntuale. Alcune indicazioni perché dovremmo essere arrivati tutti. Rimanete pure in piedi, il Santo Padre passerà, saluterà tutti quanti per i corridoi che vedete nei dei 4 settori, anche all'inizio della piazza. Quando il Santo Padre poi si siede, lo ascolteremo e anche noi ci siederemo per ascoltare. Vi prego questo silenzio doveroso dovuto un po' al rumore delle barche che transitano, al vento e magari anche alla sua voce un po' affaticata ma comunque presente. Poi ci sarà un gesto alla fine, ve lo spiego. Alla fine, salvo imprevisti o cambiamenti in itinere, faremo un gesto che lui, il Santo Padre, chiede sempre a tutti noi ogni domenica, in ogni suo incontro, di pregare per lui. E quindi noi faremo un semplice gesto che è proprio quello di rimanere in silenzio e di pregare per lui. Pregare il buon Dio che garantisca un pastore alla nostra Chiesa, e noi sappiamo essere quelle pecore, ognuno per il suo carisma, qualità, temperamento, che seguono il pastore. Un gesto che è silenzio, ma che è anche preghiera orante. E poi consegneremo quello che sarà il gesto simbolico della forcola, che è questo oggetto fondamentale nelle imbarcazioni a remi veneziane, le quali hanno appunto lo scopo di unire la forza del vogatore con il suo remo e alla struttura della barca, e quindi garantire questa unione, questa coesione tra la dinamicità del vogatore e l'importanza della barca. E quindi la forcola rappresenta questo gesto di unione tra noi, suoi figli, pecore di questo gregge, e l'importanza di avere un pastore che ci guida nella barca di Pietro. Quindi adesso, mentre sta per arrivare, o comunque in anticipo, vi chiedo, insieme ai nostri amici del coro diocesano Christus Vivit, che ringrazio, di facciamo una prova del canto Emanuele, che sarà il canto che accoglierà il Santo Padre. Facciamo anche i gesti, i nostri amici qui li abbiamo selezionati apposta perché sanno veramente fare i gesti in maniera corretta, quindi mi raccomando, fate bella figura perché... Bene, proviamo.
Facendosi memoria.
Bene, io dopo non posso dire fuori la voce, quindi spero che venga fuori questa voce, altrimenti, mi raccomando. Il secondo canto. Si vede che ha un po' di GMG alle spalle. Scusi. Sì. Bene, facciamo un'altra prova di canto e poi con il secondo canto. Sì. Teniamoci pronti che tra un po' arriva.
Laudetur Jesus Christus. Praise be Jesus Christ. And welcome back to this live-streamed broadcast of Pope Francis's pastoral visit to the northern Italian city of Venice. If you joined us earlier, our colleague Thaddeus Jones brought us through the Pope's earlier engagements, which he flew from by helicopter to Venice from the Vatican, arriving on the Giudecca island of Venice, where he met in the women's prison facility and met with detainees there, and then afterwards with the artists of the Venice Art Biennale, which is the reason why the Pope is here in Venice. And here we are. This is the second half of this morning's pastoral visit. We see Pope Francis pulling up in a water taxi, primary mode of transportation in Venice along the canals. And so we welcome all of you to this live-streamed broadcast. And we're here in front of the square in front of the Basilica of St. Mary of Good Health. My name is Devin Watkins, and I'll be providing the English language commentary for this papal event. Later on, the Pope will celebrate Mass in St. Mark's Square. And we welcome all of you who are joining us on our partner broadcast stations, including EWTN TV, Shalom TV India, and Sunday Shalom, Catholic Faith Network in America, Salt and Light TV, Shalom World Television Networks USA, Atma Darshan TV, Catholic TV, Luminous Radio in India, and Radio Maria Papua New Guinea. Others of you may be joining us on our Vatican News apps or our Facebook Live feed, or through various local radio stations throughout the world. And welcome to all of our friends from the Deaf Catholic Youth Initiative for the Americas, DCYIA, and please visit our Vatican News YouTube channel to find translation of this event in American Sign Language or ASL. A very warm welcome to you all. For those of you joining us by radio, we can see Pope Francis arriving aboard the water taxi and greeting the crowds as the young people here in near the Basilica of Our Lady of Good Health sing a couple of hymns to welcome the Pope. The little vaporetto, or water taxi, is driven by Coast Guard officials of the Italian Coast Guard, and there's the flag of the Vatican City-State. You could call it a Pope Mobile on the water. And the Pope met this morning with detainees at the Giudecca's Women Prison and visited the Holy See's pavilion at the 60th International Art Exhibition, more commonly known as the Venice Art Biennale. As we await the Pope and to get off the water taxi and join the young people here, we could recall a little bit of the history of this minor basilica of Our Lady of Good Health. It's located in the Dorso Duro Sestiere of the city of Venice. And it stands on the narrow finger of the Punta della Dogana, or the customs point, between the Grand Canal and the Giudecca Canal at the Bacino of San Marco. And this makes the church visible when you enter St. Mark's Square from the water. The basilica is part of the parish of the Gesuati and is the most recent of the so-called plague churches. This church has an interesting history. So in 1630, Venice experienced an unusually devastating outbreak of the plague. As a votive offering for the city's deliverance and as a prayer to overcome the pestilence, the Republic of Venice vowed to build and dedicate a church to Our Lady of Good Health. The church was designed in the then fashionable Baroque style, and construction began in 1631. Most of the objects of art housed in the church bear references to the Black Death. We see Pope Francis is greeted upon his arrival, and he consults briefly with Monsignor Sapienza, Pope's what would be his chief of staff, and his wheelchair brings him up to the papal golf cart. And getting back to the history, of this Basilica of Our Lady of Good Health. The plague that began in the summer of 1630 lasted until 1631, and it killed nearly a third of Venice's population. Around 46,000 people died, whilst in the lagoons the number was far higher, some 94,000. The local church and Catholic community repeatedly displayed the Blessed Sacrament, as well as offering prayers and processions to churches dedicated to San Rocco and San Lorenzo Giustiniani, and in an effort to stem the epidemic. And following those efforts, the Republic of Venice attempted an architectural response to a prior assault of the plague in 1575, when the Redentore Church was built by the Venetian Senate. However, this of the last of the plague churches was not dedicated to a mere plague or patron saint, but to the Blessed Virgin Mary, considered the protector of the Republic. And Venice's Senate decided to visit the church each year on November 21st, the feast of the Presentation of the Virgin. The city's officials process, and they still do, from St. Mark's to the Basilica for a service in gratitude for deliverance from that plague of 1630. And this involved crossing the Grand Canal on a specially constructed pontoon bridge, and it's still a major event here in Venice. The desire to create a suitable monument at a place that allows for easy processional access from the St. Mark's Square led senators to select the present site from among 8 potential locations. And this one was chosen partially for its relationship to and its location between St. George's, St. Mark's, and the Redemptorist Church, with which it forms an arc. And the hymn continues as Pope Francis greets the young people. He does a sort of mini tour through the square on his papal golf cart that's emblazoned with the papal emblem and the papal seal. Francis is making his way toward the dais here in front of the Basilica of Our Lady of Good Health. Mentioning earlier, Pope Francis is here in Venice. The primary reason was to visit the Holy See's Pavilion that's set up at the Giudecca Women's Prison inside the Chapel of the Magdalene. The Dicastery for Culture and Education spearheaded the project to set up the Holy Seas Pavilion. And it was a man named Bruno Racine was chosen to curate the Holy Seas Pavilion. In an interview with Vatican News, he noted that the exhibition was set up inside the Giudecca women's prison on purpose, and it was entitled "With My Eyes." He noted in this interview with Vatican News that the women who are in this, detainees in this prison, are sentenced to long terms, and so they're not here for short visits and there is little turnover. But they welcomed the idea with they had a very warm reaction to the idea to host the Holy Seas Pavilion. And they know well Pope Francis's closeness to detainees. You may remember that for the Mass of the Lord's Supper on Holy Thursday of every year of his pontificate, or nearly every year I believe, the Pope has celebrated Mass at a different prison or penitentiary facility in Rome to show his closeness to people who have been in prison for various crimes. And as he recalled this morning, there is never, no one can ever damage or take away the dignity that is inherent in every person.
Gentilmente ci sediamo, mettiamo via il cellulare, ascoltiamo.
And we hear the MC inviting the young people present to have a seat, to put away their cell phones, as Pope Francis sits in his chair in front of the Basilica.
Santo Padre, i giovani del Triveneto
And
l'hanno salutata
a young
facendo
person greets Pope
chiasso,
Francis.
facendosi
Dear Holy Father,
sentire,
the young people of Venice
così come lei li ha esortati a
have
fare alla GMC
greeted
di
you
Lisbona e
and
nel messaggio del 25 marzo,
made
a
our
5
voices heard
anni
just
dalla
as you
festa
asked us
civile.
to in Lisbon at the World Youth Day. And another young lady says, we find ourselves in front of the Basilica of Our Lady of Good Health,
cioè la mediatrice di vittoria
and
e di pace.
Our Lady
Da qui,
of
questa immagine e
Mediation
questo titolo
and
mariano
Peace.
si sono diffusi e sono presenti in
Here
tutte le terre venete. Questa basilica è un luogo molto caro a noi giovani, perché ogni
we
anno,
young people
il
hold
20
this
novembre,
basilica very
lo
dear because
raggiungiamo
every
in pellegrinaggio
25th of
assieme a
November
moltissimi fedeli.
we make a pilgrimage here along with
Papa
many other
Francesco,
people.
la ringraziamo
Pope Francis,
per
we
la
thank
sua
you for
presenza
your
qui
presence
oggi
here
e
today
per aver scelto di
and for
incontrare
having
questa
chosen to
rappresentanza di quasi
meet with
1500
us
giovani
around
provenienti
1,500
dalle
young people
15
from the
diocesi del Triveneto.
15 dioceses of the Veneto region. And now Pope Francis will greet the young people. And he takes his glasses and his speech from his assistant.
Cari fratelli e sorelle, buongiorno.
Dear brothers and sisters, dear young people, good morning. Wow, even the sun smiles this morning. It's wonderful to see you. Being together allows us to share the wonder that we are, even if it is just through a prayer, a look, and a smile, the miracle that we all are. Indeed, we have all received a great gift, that of being God's beloved children. And we are called to fulfill the Lord's dream, to bear witness and live His joy. There is nothing more beautiful. Have you ever had an experience so beautiful that you couldn't keep it to yourself, but felt compelled to share it with others. That we've all had that experience, and one that we've all felt impelled to share with others. And that's why we are here today, to rediscover in the Lord the beauty that we are, and to rejoice in the name of Jesus, a youthful God who loves young people and always surprises us. God always surprises us. Do you understand this? It's important to always be ready to welcome the surprises of God. Friends, here in Venice, a beautiful city, we live together a beautiful moment of encounter. But tonight, when each of us will be at home, and then tomorrow, and in the days to come, where do we start to welcome the beauty that we are, and to embrace joy? How do we welcome this joy? I suggest two verbs that are both practical and that are maternal. These are two verbs indicating movement that animated the young heart of Mary, the Mother of God and our Mother, to spread the joy of the Lord and to help those in need. She arose and went. Arise and go. Let's not forget these two verbs.
Prima di tutto alzarsi. Alzarsi da terra, perché siamo fatti per il cielo. Alzarsi.
First of all, arise. Get up from the ground, because we are made for heaven. Rise from sadness to lift our gaze upward. Rise to stand in front of life, not to sit on the couch.
Cosa è un giovane tutta la vita seduto sul divano? Avete immaginato questo?
Can you imagine a young person who is just seated on the couch all day? They spend their life there. There are various types that of emotions that just grab a hold of us and don't let us get up. To rise. So let us arise to welcome the gift that we are, to recognize before anything else that we are precious and irreplaceable. We all hear others say, you're ugly, or you're no good. But in reality, we are all beautiful. Each of us is beautiful. We all have a gift to share with others. Is this true? Listen well. This is not self-esteem. This is reality. Recognizing this is the first step we should take in the morning when we wake up. Get out of bed and accept yourself as a gift. You arise, and before diving into things to do, recognize who you are by thanking the Lord. Recognize who you are and thank the Lord. You can say, my God, thank you for my life. My God, make me fall in love with my life. My God, you are my life. My God, help me today for this, that, and the other thing. You are my God, and I am in love with you. Help me. Help me to make this love grow. And help me just to be a happy couple. There's so many things that we can tell the Lord. And then pray the Our Father, where the first word is the key to joy. We say, Father, and in this we recognize ourselves as a beloved son or beloved daughter. Remember that for God you are not a digital profile, but a child, that you have a Father in heaven, and therefore you are a child of heaven. No, Father, this is too romantic. But no, this is reality, and we have to discover it in our own lives, in our own experience. Yet, often we find ourselves fighting against a negative gravitational force that pulls us down, an oppressive inertia that wants to see everything in a shade of gray. It happens to us sometimes. What should we do? In order to arise, let us not forget, first, we must let ourselves be picked up. May we allow the Lord to take us by the hand, since He never disappoints those who trust in Him, but always lifts up and forgives. You might say, but I am not up to it. I feel fragile, weak. I often fall. When you feel this way, please change your mindset. Do not look at yourselves with your eyes, but think of God's gaze. When you make a mistake and fall, what does He do? He stands there right next to you and smiles, ready to take your hand. This is a beautiful thing. God is always here ready to pick us up. One thing this reminds me, it's nice. Is it nice to look down upon a person from above? Is it good or bad? No. There's only one time when we can look down on a person, whenever we help them stand up. That's the only time that we can look down on someone, when we help them to get up, when we reach down to pick them up. Whenever we are fall, God does the same to us. He looks down on us in that way. Do you not believe it? Open the Gospel and see what He did with Peter, with Mary Magdalene, with Zacchaeus, and with many others. He worked miracles with their fragilities. The Lord, with our fragilities, does miracles. Do you, by the way, do you ever read the Gospel? More or less, right? And let me give you a counsel and a piece of advice. Take a pocket Gospel and carry it always with you. And every once in a while open something, just a verse. And so please grab a pocket Gospel. Will you do this? You agree? Yes, go ahead. Good, thank you.
E questo ha fatto con noi. Dio sa che oltre a essere belli siamo fragili e le due cose vanno insieme.
And God does this with us. He knows that we are fragile. It's a bit like Venice, which is splendid and delicate at the same time. It has a little bit of fragilities that have to be cared for. God does not hold our mistakes against us. Oh, you did this or that. He doesn't focus on that, but He extends His hand. He is our Father. But don't look at yourself if you feel you've done something wrong, but look up. Look at the hand that the Father has extended down to you, and the Lord will reach down and pick you up. Allow yourselves to be picked up by Him. And when we are down, the Lord sees children to lift up, not evildoers to punish. Please, trust in Him. This is getting a little bit long. Are you bored yet? No. You're good. Very, very polite. Thank you. Once we have arisen, it is up to us to stay on our feet. Once we get up, we have to stay on our feet. We should remain. When we feel like sitting down, letting go, or giving up. But it's not easy. But this is the secret. Yes, the secret to great achievements is constancy, perseverance. It's true that sometimes we get this weakness that drags us down. what we need. It's perseverance that drives us forward. Today we live on quick emotions, momentary sensations, instincts that last for mere moments. Yet we do not advance far this way. Sporting champions, as well as artists and scientists, show that great achievements are not reached in an instant or all at once. If this is true for sports, art, and culture, it is even truer for what matters most in life. What are these? What matters most in life? Love and faith. Growing in faith and love. And to do that, we need to have perseverance. Instead, here the risk is to leave everything to improvisation. I pray if I feel like it, I go to Mass when I feel like it, I do good if I feel up to it. But this does not yield results. We need to persevere day after day. We must do it together, because together helps us to go ahead, to go forward. So, together. Do it yourself does not work in big things. That's why I tell you, don't isolate yourself, but seek others. Experience God together. Find a group to walk with so you don't grow tired. You might say, but around me everyone is on their own with their cell phone, glued to social media and video games. But you must fearlessly go against the current. Take life into your hands. Get involved. Turn off the TV and open the gospel. Leave the cell phone and encounter people. The cell phone is very useful to communicate, but be careful when your cell phone, your smartphone, keeps you from meeting and encountering other people. Use your phone. It's good. But encounter people. Give them a hug, kiss, shake their hands, and meet people. Don't forget this. Use your cell phone, but encounter people. I seem to hear your objection. It's not easy. It's like swimming against the current. But you can't say that here in Venice, because Venice itself tells us that only by rowing consistently can we go far. You're citizens of this land. You know that you have to row, even if the path is difficult. So, young people, this is what it means to arise, letting yourself be taken by the hand by God to walk together. After we get up, the second verb is go. If rising is welcoming oneself as a gift, going means making oneself a gift. This is a beautiful thing. A young person who doesn't feel able to care for other people, then something's missing. So go and be with others, to go strive ahead. Dear brothers and sisters, I'm getting there. Be patient. Let us think about our Father, who has created everything for us. We, his children, for whom do we create something beautiful? We live immersed in man-made products, which make us lose our awe for the beauty that surrounds us. Yet creation invites us to be creators of beauty ourselves. Please, don't forget this, to be creators of beauty, and to create something that did not exist before. This is beautiful. Whenever you will be married and you have children,
avete fatto una cosa che prima non c'era.
In that case, you will have created something that did not exist before. This is the beauty of youth. When it becomes, the joy of youth becomes fatherhood or motherhood, and create something that does not exist, that did not exist before. And think about the children that you'll have. And this should carry you forward. Do not be professionals of compulsive typing, but creators of new things. A prayer made with the heart, a page you write yourself, a dream you realize, a gesture of love for someone who cannot reciprocate. This is creating, imitating the style of God. It is the style of gratuitousness, which brings us out of the nihilistic logic of I do to have and I work to have. Yes, you have to do things, but this should not be the center of your life. Just working to earn. Be creative with gratuitousness. Bring to life a symphony of gratuitousness in a world that seeks profit. Then, and go ahead. Give yourself without fear. Young person who wants to take your life in your hands, arise. Open your heart to God. Thank Him and embrace the beauty that you are. Fall in love with your life. And then go. Go out and walk together with others. Look for those and walk with others. Look for those who are alone. Color the world with your creativity and paint the streets of life with the gospel. Please, paint the streets of life with the gospel. Arise and go. Let's say it together. Arise and go. Get up and go. I like this. Jesus extends this invitation to you. He, to whom many people he helped and healed, said, repeat it. Listen to his call. Repeat it inside you. And what was it? Arise and go. Thank you. And we hear the young people chanting for Pope Francis in gratitude, and a young priest welcoming, thanking the Pope. And the Pope asks again, what was it again? What? Arise and go.
Lei ci chiede sempre di pregare per lei, Santo Padre.
And the young priest always tells the Holy Father that you always ask us to pray for you. And so we ask to take a moment to ask the Lord to bless your life and your ministry, and please allow us, we ask that God allow us to be His lambs and docile to His touch. And please, let's take a moment of silence. We're pausing for a moment with Pope Francis and the young people here in the square in front of the Basilica of Our Lady of Good Health. Praying for the Holy Father's ministry. Our Lady of Good Health, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Vi benedica Dio Onnipotente,
May Almighty God bless you,
Padre,
in the
il Figlio,
Father, Son,
Spirito
and Holy
Santo.
Spirit.
Amen. E com'era la cosa? Grazie.
What was it again? Get up and go. Thank you.
Il gesto che le viene posto è questa forcola, un elemento fondamentale per un'imbarcazione a remi. È la congiunzione tra la barca e
People
il remo.
welcome, offer the Pope
I giovani la dinamicità di guidare, di mettere la loro
standard
energia,
that
la loro
is
forza,
used
ma anche
in
di lasciarsi guidare dalla
gondolas
Sono una
in Venice
rappresentanza di tutte le voci.
to hold the oar for the boats, for the gondolas. And the young priest asks the Pope to accept their gift as a sign and as a way to remember these young people, these 1,500 young people that he has met with here in Venice. As he greets several of them and the volunteers one by one, shakes their hands. The young people singing the Jesus Christ, You Are My Light, the theme song for the 2000 World Youth Day. As Pope Francis gets ready for his next appointment, gets on the papal golf cart and prepares to head to St. Mark's Square, which is just across the bridge. And in his speech to these young people this morning, the Pope recalled that each of us is a gift. Our lives are a gift from God, and therefore we are called to make our lives a gift for others instead of just keeping it for ourselves. He said, we are here today to rediscover in the Lord the beauty that we are and to rejoice in the name of Jesus. And he called God a youthful God who loves young people and always surprises us. And the Pope reflected at length on two verbs, to get up and to go. He noted that many times we feel an inertia that keeps us from moving ahead and keeps us from getting up, and we feel depression and a desire to just stay in bed. And the Pope recalled that God is always there to lift us up, and he asked the young people to allow God to lift them up, to grab them, take them by the hand. Even if we fall or make mistakes, said the Pope, God is there to pick us up as a, as a father, since he sees us as children to lift up, not as evildoers to punish. The Pope recalled that many people live on quick emotions and momentary satisfaction, but Christians are called to persevere together in faith and love by praying in community, especially at Mass. Just this community aspect, doing things together, is one important way to get up and to go. And at this point, as Pope Francis wraps up his meeting with young people and travels over to St. Mark's Square, where he will preside at Mass, we will take a brief 15-minute break to prepare for the next event. And we thank all of you for joining us. Our colleague, Father Bonga Majola, will offer the commentary for this next event, the last of Pope Francis's pastoral visit here to Venice. And thank you for joining us. My name is Devin Watkins. Laudetur Jesus Christus. Praised be Jesus Christ.